Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this session. Pete, it's to you.
Thanks, Julian. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session, the first in the EMEA Fast Track Autumn series of webinars, focusing around cloud packs, including data and AI, intelligent automation, integration, Instana, and turbonomic. Next slide, please, Julian. So there's just some housekeeping here. There's a few different ways you can interact with the session. We do encourage interaction, so if you have any questions at all, please either use the raise hand or the chat or even the Q&A options there. You should see them at the bottom of your Zoom instance.
All right. So it's with great pleasure to introduce today's lineup. As this is the first session, we have quite a few colleagues from IBM over that will support us through this session and will support us on the content. But one thing I want to do first is introduce my new colleague, Pete Smith, who will be our new Senior Business Development Manager across EMEA on the topic of data and AI, and especially around IBM Data, Cloud Pak for Data, and the IBM automation business, including turbonomic, Instana, and Instana. For the rest of it, it's with great pleasure that we have with us Eduardo Angulo, Data and AI Partner Ecosystem Leader. Then my dear colleague of the IBM Automation Technical Sales, Carmen Raeliano. And then we have all across from Canada, Dirk de Roos, who was the worldwide technology enablement leader for data and AI. And you know myself, Julian Junge. I'm a senior solution architect over at Tech Data, and for private reasons, Chris Garvey, who would usually be here, will attend us again in the next session. Now, very quickly, we've launched this autumn session as part of our Fast Track Enablement series to promote a little bit more our dedicated team around the data and AI and the automation space. But on the other hand, we also know that the second half in a year is usually a critical time when it comes to the IBM business, and that's why we launched a couple of sessions, very much focus on ongoing sales initiatives, support you on your ongoing sales initiatives, refresh your memory on certain aspects of the product, and really help you in your customer engagements, and also allow for the interaction, to allow you to ask questions should you have them. To really deliver on this, all the speakers that we will have in today's session, as well as in the upcoming sessions, are seasoned sellers in one way or the other of the spectrum. But all of them have experience in the field, have had those moments where they really needed to get complex deals across the finishing line, and they've been invited with a clear aim to share that experience with you, so that you can learn from it, so that you can benefit from it and close deals successfully before year's end. Really quickly, we here at Tech Data, we're very much dedicated to support you on the market opportunity, to help you around the whole sales aspect of your initiative, and on the other hand, also make sure that post-sales there really is customer success, that you know that you're aware of the product, that you received the latest information on the product, and should there be questions, should there be needs, should there be challenges, we're here to support you. We're here to put you in contact with the wider IBM ecosystem, and really make sure that you have everything you need to serve your customers well. Throughout this autumn series, we've lined up a couple of sessions. No worries, if you like, take a screenshot, but we will, as always, we will share these slides with you in the end. So we've created quite a lineup of sessions. Next week, for example, we will already go into an industry accelerator deep dive, where we talk about the customer attrition module on Cloud Pak for Data. Followed only 2 days later by an overview and a positioning session on Instana, to really help you to refresh your memory on Instana and get going on it. And so forth, it continues. It's always a little bit the same format, different topics, but very seasoned speakers. And on the other hand, as a quick reminder, there's certainly for you the possibility to access the Tech Data IBM solution environment. So we have environments on Cloud Pak for Data as well as Cloud Pak for Integration, and we're working to set one up on Turbonomic and Instana. Stay tuned. We'll be able to share those with you shortly, so that you can access them and potentially develop proof of concepts or even smaller MVPs. On that note, Carmen, it's over to you.
Thank you. And I think I have 20 minutes, right? To make sure I get my timing correctly. So
yeah, I have all my confidence.
Let me share the PowerPoint that you should see and put it in the slide mode. Is this visible?
Yep, that looks good.
Good. So I'm leading the technical sales team for IBM automation solutions in IBM, and I do work with Julian closely. We worked last year for the Cloud Pak for Integration stack that he just mentioned, and obviously we work together on all of those webinars that you have seen. I'm planning today to give an overview. So it's not going to be a deep product presentation, but you will have dedicated session going further. My aim is just for you to understand the overview of the automation strategy and portfolio. I would start to mention why automation, or why do we think automation is so important, especially these days. There are three main challenges we have observed accelerated in the last 2 years of pandemic. First, according to McKinsey, we have seen the great digital shift, meaning then we have seen an adoption of digital technologies by companies like we did in the last 10 years. So a huge amount of adoption in terms of digitization and technologies. That also adds to the complexity and growing complexity of environments and application on customer side. We have seen here that most of the organizations have around 1,000 applications or even more, which is really adding a lot of the complexity. And besides the number of applications, we are also talking about now multiple environments. A lot of customers have adopted cloud in the last year, and that was accelerated as well. And we know also that most of our customers are looking to not only one cloud provider, but multiple cloud providers. So all of this context, it adds a lot of complexity, and therefore that's automation will come into a great help for our customers. The last challenge that we definitely have seen in the last 2 years is the skill attrition and the expert skill attrition. And I would also add the change in behavior. So even if customers maybe don't have big skill gaps, there's definitely the employees' behavior has changed, and the companies need to adapt and allow their employees to work into this hybrid environment that we are now all operating. So thinking about this context, before we go to see how do we address with automation, besides solving these challenges, also companies are looking to a few more drivers, let's say, for them to decide and adopt automation. One is, and the biggest one is for them to capture market share and increase their revenue. As well, improve their customer experience. So customer experience, it is an important driver for a long time, but now it was also accelerated together with the innovation. And lastly, but still important with a high percentage, is to look for the internal driver of becoming more productive and efficient in terms of the employee productivity. So these are the most important drivers for companies. And you see here also a Forrester site that companies that will be slow in adopting automation will for sure be left behind their competitors. So what is the path forward? That's the path forward. It's automation, obviously, and our approach for automation in IBM is the intelligent automation. And what do we mean by intelligent automation? Is to combine the automation technologies, which we have been discussing for some time now. It's not a new concept, with artificial intelligence in order to make our employees and our solutions more intelligent and address these three challenges that we have mentioned a bit earlier. So we have structured our approach and our strategy towards these challenges, and then you see here on the right side we have solutions and capabilities which are oriented for the people, and people means internal employees efficiency and productivity, as well as external customer experience. We have looked to capabilities which are helping us to orchestrate and automate and integrate the applications and the processes. And we have looked to capabilities which are looking to end-to-end IT automation, so looking on the complexity of the IT systems, infrastructures, and application to understand, observe, and predict why possible outages at the right time. So in a nutshell, that's the overall strategy. And if I want to go a little bit deeper to give some of the capabilities or top capabilities that are behind these three main areas, I have this simple triangle, which is also structured by people, business, and systems, and I will only name some of them. Again, I'm not planning, and there is no time to go into details, but I will highlight the three that I'll go a bit deeper today. The process mining that you see on the right side, observability, and application resource management. So a quick overview on the left side, we see some of the capabilities which are important for making people productive. The first one is task automation, which you might all know as robotic process automation as a product. Oriented for automating repetitive tasks and manual tasks, especially where companies can help to reduce a good number of FTEs and reduce their cost and make their people more productive. In terms of task automation, we are not aiming to replace necessarily some of the people that we have in the organization, but we have the concept of intelligent automation, which also means knowledge workers. So we have the concept of helping our employees and experienced employees to be oriented more on more intelligent and efficient activities by having automated solutions which are doing, let's say, the non-intelligent tasks for them. The other aspect that I would mention here is that in general, all of our capabilities are a low-code, no-code type of approach. And we are investing towards this direction to enhance our tools to allow both IT, but also to a certain level, some of the business users to interact and be able to do small changes so they can apply their business needs in a much faster time. And also visibility and getting insight with real-time analytics and dashboards, it's also important. If I'm looking on the right side, where we are having capabilities where we aim to automate the end-to-end processes and integrate between applications and exchanging data in a real time. Process mining is one of the capability now that it's definitely leading the business automation space. It is a great door opener to understand what is the current customer environment, and how that operates, how it performs, and where are the opportunities to optimize. I'll go a bit deeper in the next slides, as I have a couple of slides dedicated to that. The other interesting space is the integration and application connectivity and enterprise messaging. We are saying here that there is no automation without integration. So definitely it's an important aspect, and we have observed that many or most of the business automation projects which are failing are due because they have not paid enough attention to the integration space. They have not paid the right focus on how the applications are exchanging data between them, and make sure that that part of the integration is highly optimized as well. And the last part, when we talk about business process management, that I'm going to highlight, it's the intelligent document capture and processing. Most of the processes that we've seen in the organizations, regardless of an industry, are handling documents. So if we are talking about end-to-end workflow automation or process automation and optimization, we would need to consider digitization of the documents if the customer is still on a paper-based type of manual process. And with that, I'm moving on the right, on the bottom part, where we have solutions that are helping us to automate the IT infrastructure and application resource management. And we talk about observability, application monitoring, identifying root cause analysis, so identifying possible outages, and why not predicting that and react in time to avoid such potential outages. So I'll go further, and I'm going to, and I have a couple of slides now for three main areas that we selected for today: enterprise observability, application resource management, and process mining. I will skip the next slide in the interest of time, but that's only for your reference to see a mapping between capabilities and our products, Cloud Paks. But for today, as I said, I'll go with Instana for observability, Turbonomic for application resource management, and process mining, which is now called, formerly known MineVenue, now called IBM Process Mining. Observability. When we talk about observability, it's a bit adding on the monitoring that we are all familiar for many times, so for many years. So it's more than just monitoring, which is telling us what is happening and what is wrong. We want to understand why things are happening and to take some actions out of that. And there is this 1 second delay impact that most of you are aware or have heard about this. So 1 second in application latency increase, it really has a huge impact on the customer satisfaction that you see here on the right side. So having this in consideration is really important, that we apply the right observability tools to react and to avoid application latencies which are not necessary. So what Instana aims to do is to provide an automated solution to understand and how the applications are performing, to all the levels of the applications or components used by an application, understand that in a context, and understand every user request and put that into a context to really take some intelligent actions where are needed, detecting all of the events and alerts that are happening in the system, and really trigger actions where is needed. With that, reducing the risks and gaining much more efficiency into the application's performance, and why not also maybe getting opportunities for the company to innovate. Instana, it is also considered by Gartner as one of the leaders, and you see Instana here on the right side in the leaders Magic Quadrant from Gartner. I will not go through all the details here, but you see some of the quotes from the Gartner report, which is also available to you at this link, for reasons why Instana was considered as part of the leaders, as a modern architecture, and also a great solution for monitoring capabilities, as well in the pricing model. You've seen also the other competitors that we are facing in the market. There are a couple of points that I can highlight, but again, you have available the report that are still, or Gartner highlighted for us to improve, and that's something that we are working. One of them being the capability of Instana to monitor the existing IBM middleware and the closing the gap between former Tivoli monitoring capabilities and what Instana is offering. And I can tell you this is being on the list of topics for our offering management. Things have improved since we have done the integration, and it's going to continue to be improved in order to help our existing Tivoli customers to get a smooth transition from the old Tivoli monitoring approach to the new, more modern approach that Instana is offering. More you will see in the dedicated session that comes in the next weeks. Moving from observability, we go towards application resource management, and I wanted to start with a use case, or I would present the application resource management via a use case, which is the energy saving. I choose this because it's part of the overall sustainability approach that we have, and it's on the agenda of most of our customers lately. And in this space of energy saving and sustainability, IT has a great opportunity to lead this space. You've seen here some of the analysts, Gartner's, right, statistics that definitely most of the customers are looking to you see how the IT application and IT space can have a great impact in the energy saving. And I can say that also according to Barclays, a Barclays study, 70% of the energy costs are coming from the data centers. So that's definitely a great opportunity for the IT space to have an impact on reducing the energy consumption. Okay, but reducing the energy consumptions could be done by reducing the infrastructure, and we will see how turbonomic, which is the solution, the capability and the product that we have, can help in here. But there are a few things that needs to be considered, which is, okay, we need to identify and reduce the energy consumption, however, in a continuous way. However, we need to make sure that we don't impact the application performance. And obviously, we need to pay attention to the financial cost associated with implementing such a solution. And the solution that I said, is turbonomic, although it can be a combination as well with observability offered by Instana. So the two capabilities can complement together in this energy saving space. And you see here the most important steps that we are discussing with our customers in terms of observing the systems, and regardless of what is the complexity of the system, combination of having an on-premise private clouds or containerized Kubernetes, or workloads in clouds and multiple clouds. So observe this complex environment, do a mapping between the application and the infrastructure resources required, understand how the application performs, and then taking intelligent actions and dynamic scalings in order to use more efficient the resources according to the application performance KPIs, and obviously everything to be automated and integrated in real time. So that's just a short overview of how Turbonomic looks. Obviously you will have a dedicated session later in the series of webinars, and you will get much more details about capabilities of Turbonomic. In terms of the competitive landscape, you see here some of them. It is definitely the leader according to G2 Cloud Management Platform analysis. This is done by based on users which are using the technology, the Turbonomic, and you see there are different criteria for satisfactions that they are evaluating. You have the access to this report in Seismic, so that's a detailed report where you see different criteria for how they evaluated each of these competitors or players in this marketplace. And as you see, we are pleased that Turbonomic is one of the highest in terms of customer satisfaction. And I'm almost at the end of my time. Quickly, the last capability that I plan to cover is process mining. You have here a slide with the Turbonomic sustainability and energy calculator that we also offer as part of the energy saving. Feel free to play with it, and it's a nice tool that you can simulate different environments. And now we talk about process mining, which says you can't improve what we don't know. And that's actually valid in all of the capabilities across automation. So what process mining is actually aiming to do is to create this navigation map, or you can consider it as a navigation map that helps us to understand how the current application and environments are performing. And then based on that, do this kind of process discovery map that you see here in the second column. Maybe that's very good screenshot of how a typical process mining assessment would look like. It shows us that as is of the processes and discover where automation can be implemented. It can suggest areas where the tool or the things that we should apply automation and different solution of automation, either at the process level, of the task level, or why not going down level of the IT application integration level. And we can also simulate what if we would implement a to-be optimization solution, and you can do multiple what if scenarios, and in the end customer can select the one which is providing the most efficient optimization. And this is all combined with and it can be combined then with other automation capabilities that we offer in our cloud pack. Either, as I said, it's a task automation, which is represented by the RPA, or we have to automate the entire workflow with our workflow orchestration and automation solution, or we wanna really start with integrating the application because that's where we feel is the sweet spot and the highest optimization that we can bring as the first priority. So that's in a nutshell, again, very shortly, the process mining capability. And as I know, you also have a dedicated session for process mining, and you will learn more about the tool and how it can be used in different use cases in the next weeks. Process mining, it's also one of the leaders. The competitor, you see a few other competitors that we see in the market. And again, I guess more details you'll get in the process mining dedicated session in terms of capabilities and differentiators of our IBM process mining solution. And with that, I think I am a couple of minutes over. I don't know if there are any questions. I'll stop sharing, and if we have time, happy to take questions. Otherwise,
we'll do the question either electronically, so through the chat, or we'll open up for Q&As at the end of the session. Thanks, Carmen. Thanks, Carmen. I mean, we've calculated a little bit of a buffer here, so we're still okay. We're still okay.
I will look at the chat and see if I can address any of them in parallel.
Excellent, excellent. So, Dirk, over to you. Oh, he's there already.
There. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, loud and clear.
Excellent. All right, I'm Dr. Roos. I have spoken to, I've had the opportunity to speak to a tech data audience many times before in the series that we ran through at the beginning of the year, or middle of the year, around our badges and the courses that we have to offer. So with that, everything that I'm going to show today I directly took that from the course materials for all those badges that you could use to get your competencies and earn the partner world benefits that'll make your life selling IBM software much more pleasant, I hope. So what I'm going to talk about today, and just, by way of introduction of me, I lead the Data and AI team in the Worldwide Technology Sales Enablement Organization. I have a long history as a tech seller in the data space and the data science space as well. I lead a team of subject matter experts who build out this material. And probably the biggest focus that we have is on product demonstrations and hands-on labs. So all the courses that I've just referred to, we have in the kind of the progression of the courses, actual hands-on resources available for you, partners, to go into the products themselves. You don't have to pay for them; you just use them and try everything. And we give you lots of tips in terms of how to actually sell this stuff and show business value. So, the big picture with the IBM's data and AI story is really all about enabling line of business people to have what I like to call responsible self-service, to be able to find data, whatever is available in that organization's namespace, like within the walls of the organization, or even data that's outside the organization, either public, kind of open data sources, or subscriptions to different data sources that organizations may have purchased. And if you have if you've ever had any engagements with even any organization, even if it's a household, you'll know that these kind of issues are very, very difficult, especially in organizations where you've had acquisitions and you have different lines of business, and the different lines of business have sort of little firewalls between them, either intentionally or not. And so being able to even pull together an answer to a very simple question for a lot of business to consumer organizations, such as how many customers do you have? That can be a very difficult question because, first of all, what is a customer? And then you might have customers that, like in a bank, that have mortgages, but also personal checking accounts, or maybe even investment accounts and so on. And they're often seen as different entities. So having that holistic view of who your customers are and being able to do something as simple as counting them is that can be fraught with lots of issues. And so when it comes to much more business value kind of driven questions, like for instance, how do we retain these customers? Which customers are at risk of going to a competitor, or who are the customers that are give us the most business value? Those more important questions can be very, very difficult to answer. So IBM's answer to this is Cloud Pak for Data. And within Cloud Pak for Data, to be clear, we've had a change in our go-to-market that I've talked about in some of the past presentations that I've done with you all. But the change in the go-to-market is that we don't necessarily put Cloud Pak for Data at the forefront. What we try to do is really present different value stories. For example, data fabric or customer care and so forth. And by focusing on the value stories, it's less about infrastructure and software itself, and kind of this notion of having to sell a thing like Cloud Pak for Data, which really can do a whole range of things. So rather than pitching, hey, here's this exciting set of tooling that can solve all your problems, and having to trying to find a solution for it, what we're trying to do is go to market and go to our customers with, here are 4 big problem areas where we have interesting solutions. And those problem areas, they're satisfied by Cloud Pak for Data and the different facets that it has. So this is all by way of introducing kind of this big picture offering of Cloud Pak for Data and kind of the sub offerings within it. And what I'll be talking about today is really those 4, kind of the 4 main solution areas. So starting with Data Fabric, which is very much around having kind of a uniform view of data wherever it lives. I'll be talking about data management, which is kind of that data substrate, so where data is stored, and kind of a layer through which you can view data wherever it lives through a technology we call data virtualization. I'll be talking about customer care, which is through our speech technology and Watson Assistant Discovery, which is very much oriented towards things like virtual assistants, for example, and then having large corpuses of documents available to support those virtual assistants so that much more tricky questions can be answered. And then finally, business analytics, which is a portfolio that I know many of our tech data friends are familiar with through the planning analytics and Cognos analytics offerings. So together, those 4 solutions present considerable business value in each of those areas. We have industry leadership, our analyst partners have recognized IBM offerings almost across the board as being in kind of the leadership segment. I mean, the example we cite here is Gartner and Forrester as well. On the Forrester wave, we're consistently in the upper right of their wave diagrams. And I guess there's some overriding traits that we have across our data and AI portfolio that I'll go through that I think are important considerations for success factors. And when almost across the board as well, when you compare IBM offerings to their competing competing offerings in those respective spaces, because I mean, let's face it, data and AI is a very, very broad portfolio and domain. So, I mean, the competitors that you see in data science, for example, which we group underneath Data Fabric, are very different than the competitors that you would see in the business analytics space, for example. I mean, completely different. I mean, there are many different considerations to those specific kind of niches of the data and AI story. And yeah, as a result, also, I mean, there are a lot of niche sort of offerings. But if you pull back the aperture and look at the bigger picture, I would say that these success factors apply to all of the niches and certainly the 4 different solution areas that I mentioned. So starting with hybrid cloud, a major part of the IBM value story is the fact that regardless of the environment that our clients find themselves in, we can support them. And the overwhelming kind of motion to market that we have now is less about, I mean, where we used to go to market when I first joined the Worldwide Tech Sales team back in 2010. There was a lot of conversation about Oracle migration to DB2, and then with the Netezza acquisition to Netezza as well, or from Teradata to Netezza. And we've had a dramatic shift in our messaging and our approach to market. So rather than migrating our clients off of their existing technologies, often which, you know, they have a kind of an established book of business around it and applications that depend on that software infrastructure, we now say, rather than replacing it, let's work with it and complement it with differentiating value. So we still do talk about Oracle migrations in some cases where people are looking to cut costs and so on. But the leading messages are really to support a hybrid ecosystem for data management. So don't worry about having to migrate all of your data from one platform to another. That's very disruptive and expensive. But rather, let's work with data where it is, and let's get it into a hybrid-friendly sort of setting where you can where you can achieve the goals that I mentioned before around self-service. And so when it comes to hybrid cloud, especially, we have across the board for data and AI, almost all of our offerings can be offered either in a traditional setting where you run, where you have, let's say, our business analytics running locally in a traditional data center. There are still businesses that have legitimate business needs to keep their data and their data infrastructure in an on-prem data center. In other cases, we see many cases where there's a business need to move to a private cloud sort of setting or a public cloud setting. Regardless of the form factor, we are there, and our offerings support that. But at the same time, we also, especially with Data Fabric, we try to present a single pane of glass view of data and analytics, the products of analytics like machine learning models, dashboards, and so forth, and data applications. We've tried to present a single pane of glass view through our Data Fabric technology, so that a hybrid approach where organizations' data is in multiple clouds and in multiple data centers in multiple formats is the way of the world. That's only going to accelerate. So rather than fighting that and swimming against the current, embracing that with a technology that enables kind of a more responsible approach to scaling out in that way is that's our strategic decision. In addition, integration is critical, especially that's one of the main focuses of the Data Fabric area itself. But even beyond Data Fabric, when you think about, for example, a virtual assistant, virtual assistants have many, at least when done properly, have many components. And I can think of my own experiences as a customer, where a telco that I was once a customer of, where we moved from one neighborhood to another, and after we moved to a different neighborhood, we had to change our telco because the high-speed internet wasn't available from the other telco, or the previous one. And then after we left, we got repeated phone calls from their call center asking us, "Hey, come back to our company. We'll give you a great subscription rate," and all that sort of thing. And repeatedly, it was at least 3 or 4 times that we had these calls. The end was the same. "Oh, let me check if we have a high-speed internet available in your neighborhood because you need it for your work." And then they would go check. The answer was no. And so, yeah, even if I wanted to, I couldn't come back to you. But even though I heard the agent typing in the background, they didn't. The next agent that ended up calling, because we were still a lead in their system, they had no idea of this, and it was just an agonizing repetition of the same discussion. So that integration story, even for virtual assistants or call center systems where you have a complementary approach of virtual assistants and live agents, there's a data backend that has to happen there. And those systems need to be tapped into the greater data infrastructure and all the machine learning models that support that, and all the dashboarding and all the other related pieces of intelligence. So integration is critical, and a really great part of IBM's story, and this has really been, as long as I've been in IBM which is now 22 years, we've been very good about, a huge part of our story has consistently been, we will work with whatever infrastructure is there. So when it comes to a data infrastructure, very rarely do we see customers that want an all blue solution across the board when it comes to their data and AI. What we do see, however, very frequently is that sometimes a client is very invested in their investment in, let's say, business analytics, where they're using a competing solution. And then we say, all right, we can work with that, and we will support that with the Data Fabric, or maybe a data management backend, like a Netezza or something like that. And we see the converse as well, where they want they want a solution like Planning Analytics or Cognos, and then they use their existing like data integration software or whatever. So very much our story is one of integrating with other solutions, regardless if they're IBM or not. And so across the board, when it comes to the data and AI solutions, you see that integration capability like that. Even at the data fabric, it's really at the heart of the solution. Automation is another big one, and this is where we've had a lot of benefits from synergies in working with our automation partners and Cloudpack for Automation in particular. And so we're seeing a lot of cross-pollination. Like, for example, our data observability capabilities through databand.ai. There are a lot of parallels in how we're going to market and discussing it as relates to Instana. But across the board, with our whether it's our virtual assistant technologies or our machine learning development through Auto AI or through our dashboarding solutions, there is automation that's baked into this, and it's not just automation, for the sake of it, but it's intelligent automation that's informed by machine learning and artificial intelligence approaches. And really the objective comes right back to what I mentioned at the very beginning, which is self-service. And where historically, even if you look beyond IBM at the data and AI or the data management, data integration, whatever, or data analytics, like anything data related when it comes to software, has had a very heavy IT driven focus, where it's those kinds of activities, like data engineering, for example, have very much been in the domain of IT professionals. But of late, if you look at what's trending and what the analyst community and what many clients are talking about when it comes to data, AI, data science, and so forth, and data analytics, it's very much a question of what can data or business analysts do. So it's not taking data and AI out of the domain of IT, but it's expanding it to be part of the domain of, a business professional. And for business professionals to have self-service, usability is at the top of the list. And if I think about how we go to market now with many of our tools, the things that we brag about are no longer performance. Like I can remember as I began my career in the DB2 organization, every month there'd be a new TPC report, like Transaction Processing Council, that compared IBM's database offerings to Oracle's or to SQL Server or whomever, and that was the big selling point. That would be on the front of every slide deck that you would show a client. And nowadays, we focus on things like the Red Dot Design Awards. So so it really speaks to the importance of usability, because if your product isn't usable, and if people can't ask new questions themselves with this analytics software, then you're not achieving the mark. So automation is key in that, but also kind of a bigger focus on self-service, so that when it comes to being able to shop for data, when it comes to being able to build your own dashboards or search for data, and then as a lay person, for example, you might not be a data engineer, but if you have the ability to take data and not have to think about the native format that it's in, or if you have one piece of data in an Oracle database and another piece of data in a cloud object storage service, you should be able to combine that and ask basic questions against it. And through especially our data fabric technologies, you have the ability to have that single pane of glass view and not even know that the technical underpinnings of those different respective data sources are very, very different. You don't need to know how to authenticate and connect to a cloud object storage service, for example. You just simply see the data and you use it with familiar tools. So data fabric, the first of the four solution areas. Here, the objective is to provide a transparent approach to accessing data. So you see it as a single pane of glass. You have no idea where it lives or kind of constraints around it. And underneath the covers, the tooling that we provide tries to ensure whatever security policies or usage policies that the IT people in your organization want to define. So it's really a marriage between data fabric is very much a tool that IT people can use to facilitate responsible use of self-service. And data fabric has many different facets. There's data quality element, there's metadata management, there's data integration, so on and so forth. We talked about our data science story is very much integrated into our data fabric story. And so across the board, of the different facets of the data fabric story, which is very nuanced and is a big story, IBM is in the leadership position pretty much across the board. Now, moving on to business analytics. Here as well, we have what I consider to be a very interesting, differentiated, and very much an integrated view on what it means to do business analytics from a bigger picture. And the approach that we've taken is to think about planning activities in concert with business intelligence activities, and then as well when it comes to financial reporting, the close consolidation and reporting side of things. So here, this is our planning analytics, Cognos Analytics, and Cognos Controller portfolio. And these products all integrate with one another, and they are all available as well in Cloud Pak for Data, which provides that hybrid story. And one thing I forgot to mention about the hybrid story, which is interesting, is that with our hybrid cloud story, we have the ability to provide the software at both kind of an OpenShift oriented approach where you can run it in a private or public cloud in managed OpenShift or in just your own OpenShift. But we're also working actively on providing all of our Cloud Pak for Data services. So all the services that we're talking, or the capabilities that we're talking about for the 4 solution areas, they will be available as a service, not just in IBM's cloud, but in the competing clouds. So we've made a strategic decision. This speaks back to the points around integration that I mentioned. If your clients are invested in AWS or in Azure, and eventually and in Google Cloud Platform as well, GCP, we will have as a service presence in those clouds. And we are actively working now on AWS. That's the highest priority that our project managers have defined. So in 2023, we look to have almost all of our capabilities running as a service on IBM Cloud and on AWS. And then in 2023, work will begin on providing our services as a service in AWS as well. In fact, we actually have Netezza running as a service in Azure now. So business analytics. So really 3 main focuses here. Data analytics, data analysis itself, especially from a self-service perspective, to enable, to kind of abstract away some of the complexity around data engineering, and to make that easier. Have automated pattern detection as well, but trust being really the ultimate currency here, so that there is lineage, there's integration with our governance tooling to ensure that people that are entitled to see certain kinds of data are, and those that aren't are not. So we have the ability to define policies to ensure that kind of trust. And this is, again, we have increasing integration with our Watson Knowledge Catalog offering, which is at the heart of the data fabric solution that we have. And very rough comparison when it comes to the competition. And this is taken from our business analytics level 1 seller deck. We compare quite favorably almost across the board to the main competitors. Probably the biggest competitive advantage that we have, like you see some of the same names in some of these things, and you see many niche solutions, but there's no single vendor that provides as many leading solutions across the board of the spectrum of data and AI as IBM. Customer care, which we talked about a little bit. So this is very much around the space of building virtual assistants and support for a lot of unstructured documents and so on, like contracts and customer policies and so forth. The focus that we have here is very much around the 4 dimensions that you see here, unifying your experiences. For example, if you're to build a virtual assistant that supports a multi-channel approach, where you have SMS, your text messages, voice, and email integrated, To build a solution like that yourself would require extremely expensive consulting and integration and architecture. We actually have the ability through Watson Assistant and our speech services to actually build that quite easily. In fact, my team has built a demo that actually shows voice and text integrated in a single demo, which is quite compelling. So for that to be available as a demo, that's extremely differentiating. Personalization. This is everything. Kind of like what I mentioned earlier in my awkward experience with my telco provider. They knew my name, but they didn't know who I was, and they didn't understand the past interactions. So being able to have that baked into a virtual assistant solution is extremely important. All right, we have a few minutes left, so I've just a couple more slides and I'll be finished. But yeah, across the board, again, this is from our customer care level 1 client deck. These are the vendors that we typically see, and in our materials for assistant discovery and speech, the level 2 courses, you will see detailed materials on how they attack us and our differentiators against them. Just very quickly for conversational solutions, IBM again is in the leadership quadrant for Gartner, and we have Forrester and the other analysts that have nice things to say about us. Final area, data management. We have where historically, if you were to talk about data management or data storage, databases with anybody from IBM, there'd be one answer, and that answer used to be DB2. DB2 is still strategic, is still very important, and we have a very large base of happy customers. However, we realize that not everybody wants to hear just about DB2, and we have the opportunity now to sell these 5 additional data management solutions to our clients, especially with app development and mobile apps being extremely important. Some of these solutions like Mongo and EDB are quite frequently used. And so customers typically come to us knowing what they're after, but there are huge benefits of selling these offerings on IBM paper. 4 of them are open source, and so having that indemnification and kind of the backing of IBM on these solutions is compelling. And then as well, having a common service plan where you have a single layer for service for, let's say, if you're using single store, and you're using single store in concert with maybe Cognos or with our data fabric solutions, you have one phone number to call for all of that. Now, yes, we have DB2, we have Netezza as well, and so we do provide guidance in our materials on which data solution is appropriate for which use case. And again, IBM has long been recognized for its leadership in the data management space, and now with the OEM offerings, we simply have more options available. I'm not going to go through this since we're close to time, but yeah, this again is from our course materials. So final slide. Everything that I've talked about here, as I mentioned before, I've stolen from the course materials from all of which are available to you. Almost everything on this list is available today, and by what is today, so it's the last week of September. By about the 3rd week of October, everything will be published across the board, and there's a fairly long list of course materials available now, even going beyond what we talked about earlier in the year, where we now have coverage for MDM, SPSS, and so forth. So please do check out the courses, and if you have feedback, I will get back to you. And with that, I'll stop sharing, and I will look at the chat as I see 5 questions there. Thank you.
There is the unmute button. Great. Thank you so much, Dirk. So while I'm trying to share my desktop, I've unmuted quite a lot of you. So if any one of you has questions, you just need to unmute yourself and ask away. Other than that, let me now try to really quickly share this here. There we go. Oh, come on. Zoom controls with many screens There we go. Great. So I hope you can see my screen now. So Dirk already mentioned it, and I want to really encourage you to do this. So throughout the course of the next sessions, we're always touching base, touching content that in one way or the other has a sales badge, has a tech sales badge, or even an associate badge to it. So I really encourage you to consume the content that we're providing you with, but on the other hand, also use the badge offerings out there. Maybe Eduardo, maybe you want to say a couple of words regarding the badges or in general.
Dirk's team have done a great job in building the learning roadmaps and the badges. I think these are a great recognition, not only to the skills you acquire as a partner, but also in terms of eligibility for Partner World programs. So earning these badges, whether they're sales or technical sales, do count as sales and technical credentials for the Partner World programs. Programs like incentives, like competencies, and so on. So I do encourage you to not only upgrade your skills by learning, going through the courses, but also making these badges count for you and your company. Thank you, Julian.
Thank you, Eduardo. So on that note, we're closing in on the end. I've shared the registration pages for the next two sessions already with you on the chat, and I'm already seeing registrations coming in. That's great to see. Thank you for the interest. Other than that, we will be sharing these very slides, the very recording of this session, plus the remaining of the schedule of the other sessions out to you, so that you can register in time and enjoy the content.